Stephen A. Smith Show. Now let's get to Washington. And two headlines brewing out of D.C. Actually, I got three, but it's definitely two at this particular moment in time. We'll start with Tesla CEO and former head of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, for those of you who don't know him, Mr. Elon Musk, who now has an issue with President Donald.
I'll tell you what, there are some great people who have been commentators in, say, sports and in the news that have really just shifted over to YouTube and have provided their personal insights without oversight of governmental eyes, right? So I think this is a really good opportunity to listen to people's perspectives. So I'm gonna sit down here, I'm gonna watch this with you guys, and let's give our perspective.
According to ABC News, multiple people who have spoken to the president and Musk have described a widening rift on a range of recent moves by the administration. In addition to that, Musk went on the offensive yesterday, blasting the president over the legislative agenda. Here's what he posted on X last night. Quote, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong," end quote. In another post, he wrote, quote, "It will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt," end quote. And finally, this morning, he posted this quote. Here it is. "In November next year, we fire all politicians who betrayed the American people," end quote. The White House has yet to comment. This is not a good look. This is not a good look. But how surprised should we be? You see, when you talk about the $2.5 trillion budget deficit, ladies and gentlemen, our national deficit is already at $37 trillion. So you're talking about this deficit approaching $40 trillion. You're talking about Trump and what he's proposing with his big, beautiful bill reaching the likes of approximately $43 to $44 trillion. We've already lost our credit rating, our stature, all right, the respect.
It's tough for me to watch these kind of videos because I'm seeing a man who's sitting on millions, right? He's good at what he does, but these increases, this $2 trillion additional deficit, it's not going to really impact him. Here's a sad thing. It may impact members of his family, but he is definitely in a position to where he can help people. So just remember, take this with a grain of salt. Like the horrible news sells, right? And that's exactly what he's doing. Hell, that's what I'm doing, right? We're watching this together. We're trying to understand what's going on with this bill. It's not good news. It sells, right? You turn on, I can almost assure you, if you turn on any channel 2, 4, 7, 9, Fox 31, CNN, it's going to be negative news. That's what sells. If everything was going well in the country, man, these people would lose so much ad revenue. But right now, it's all about Trump and Elon, and this news is selling. And does it suck for people like me who's heavily invested in Tesla? Not only do I have the cars, but I'm a heavy stockholder as well. And I will say that today I bought a put. I bought several puts on Tesla just as an insurance policy, right? I'm still looking forward to seeing what Tesla brings to the future. I'm pro robotics, I'm pro AI, but just a touch of insurance is all I needed for this week.
Of the financial sector of the world has dissipated for the United States of America. We've got people on Capitol Hill that are anxious, were so anxious to get into power. And we talked about our national debt and how we have to curb spending. But what are we doing? What are we doing? We've got issues with Medicaid. We've got people who are scheduled to lose their health insurance. We're hearing about an economy that's getting...
Who's we? It's not him.
Better. We're hearing about inflation having dipped. We're hearing that our borders are under control. We're supposed to be a thriving economy and we're moving in a forward direction. But every time we turn around, we hear about something else. Now, I'm not about to sit here and engage in condemnation because I don't know the particulars. When I think about the big, beautiful bill, I'm thinking about it along the lines of There are things to like about it. There are things to complain about it. And as we look at it, we have to dissect it with a fine-tooth comb, and recognize that, you know what? Everybody's going to have their feelings. When I think about it from my notes that I took in terms of the Big Beautiful Bill Act, I just find myself saying, hey, what's going on? If you're the GOP, extension of 2017 tax cuts, new tax breaks, SALT deduction increases, state and local taxes, that's what SALT stands for. Deduction cap is raised from $10,000 to $40,000 for married couples earning up to $500,000, addressing concerns from representatives in high tax states like New York and New Jersey. The GOP finds that to be a very good thing. Obviously, they claim this bill, the Big Beautiful Bill, is definitely something that supports small businesses. Provisions such as the reinstatement of immediate R&D expensing and increased pass-through deductions aim to bolster small businesses and domestic manufacturing. To me, that's lip service. That part is lip service because I need to hear the numbers. I need to hear the numbers. And until I hear the numbers, I'm not going to feel that way about it, okay? So that's something to think about right there. And we got to look at it from that standpoint. What do the Democrats say about the bill? They've been complaining about it. You know they have. You know they have. What does House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says, quote, "We believe it's one big ugly bill that's going to hurt the American people, hurt children, hurt families, hurt veterans, hurt seniors, cut health care, cut nutritional assistance, explode the debt." That's what Hakeem Jeffries says. He's been a guest on this show and is always welcomed back. Then there's Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. He writes, quote, "This is not one big beautiful bill. It's ugly. There's nothing beautiful about stripping away people's health care, forcing kids to go hungry, denying communities the resources they need, and increasing poverty," end quote. What are the Democrats' problems with this bill? They're talking about health care cuts. The bill imposes work requirements for Medicaid recipients and reduces federal Medicaid payments to states, potentially leading to millions losing coverage, according to the Democrats.
What does that mean for you? Like losing health care coverage, right? So let's just say you're in corporate and you've got, say, Cigna, right, or Kaiser. The likelihood of you losing it completely is low. But your premiums will increase. It's the amount of money that these carriers are going to be able to collect from the insurance. And unfortunately, there's a high regard to you paying more of that tax or that bill out of your pocket, out of my pocket. And that's what this means. So get ready because things are about to get more expensive.
Tax cuts for the wealthy. Democrats argue that the bill extends tax cuts primarily benefiting high-income earners and corporations, while offering minimal relief to working and middle-class Americans. What else do the Democrats say? It increases the deficit. The Congressional Budget Office itself estimates that the bill could add $2.3 trillion to the national deficit over the next decade. Social program reductions. The legislation includes significant cuts to SNAP, that is food assistance, ladies and gentlemen, and other safety net programs, which Democrats believe will exacerbate poverty and hunger. Last but not least, restrictions on reproductive and LGBTQ plus health care. The bill prohibits Medicaid from covering gender-affirming care and services provided by clinics that offer abortions, aligning with conservative social issues. Now, that last part, I won't challenge. Here is the reason why. If you don't believe in abortion, if you are a pro-lifer, dollars be spending for something that you inherently don't believe in, whether it be for religious purposes or anything else. Now that's different. If you were born a man or born a woman and you wanted to transition, I believe you should have the freedom to do whatever you want. But should taxpayer dollars pay for it? See, that's where it gets tricky. And that's what we have to understand that. For the most part, I'm very concerned with what the Democrats are saying. Health care cuts, I'm very concerned about that. Tax benefits for the wealthy, not as much concerned about that. You know, the top 1% of the population spends about 60% of the taxes. So if they find a way to exploit whatever loopholes so they can avoid being bled, I don't have a problem with that as long as you're getting that 60% from them, okay? They shouldn't get away without paying taxes, But it's not like you should constantly be able to come to people and want more and more and more money, because the more you want money from other people, the less of an obligation you're absorbing of minding your finances. These politicians on Capitol Hill, I'm sick and tired of them coming to us every 2 years, every 4 years, asking for more taxpayer.
Just to give you all some context about Stephen A. Smith and his responsibilities when it comes to small businesses. Because if you own a small business, right? So if you're making, millions of dollars a year and you own small business companies, say like restaurants or, fashion stores or things like that, then you're concerned because you have employees. So let's just go over what he has. So he has signed a multi-year deal with SiriusXM to launch 2 new shows, a daily sports talk show on Mad Dog Sports Radio, and a weekly show focusing in on current events, pop culture, and commentary. So he has staff, right? He has a team of people who deal with media, who deal with, anything else that has to deal with his shows, right? So he's highly concerned about what's in this big, beautiful bill. And you should be too.
Dollars. What are you doing to manage budgets? What are you doing to curb spending? We can't have everything. We can't. We can't. And I'm not talking to Republicans, and I'm not talking to Democrats. I'm talking to all of their asses. You got a budget. You got a deficit over $37 trillion. That's scheduled to explode and exceed over $40 trillion. Both sides of the aisle played a pivotal role in that happening.